Good morning. Welcome to today's session of Autodesk Virtual Academy. We'll talk about Fusion 360 CAM today, and Jorge Fernandez will be your presenter. My name is Andy Deal, and I'm your host. So for those of you who are not familiar with Ketiv's Autodesk Virtual Academy, or AVA, this is a service that we provide to all of Ketiv subscribers. It's a live web-based learning that is done weekly on Thursday at 10. And we talk about everything that has to do with Autodesk design and manufacturing. So if you are a professional using Autodesk products to design and make products, you definitely should attend Autodesk Virtual Academy. And each week, we have a different topic. It's delivered by Ketiv certified instructor. From time to time, we'll have Autodesk subject matter expert, and once in a while, we'll have a member of the user community present as well. And each week we'll talk about different things. We'll have tips and tricks, training, popular topics and news about the industry. So welcome today, and as you can see, we have a variety of topics. Next, we have some coming up, includes AutoCAD, includes Vault, and this has just been announced recently, Inventor 2016 R2, shape generator and force effects, some really cool new features in Inventor, so you definitely don't want to miss those. And so look for our announcements coming out via email, and make sure to register. And every Thursday, show up at 10, and we'll be more than happy to show you what's new. With that, I'm going to transfer the presentation over to Jorge to talk about Fusion 360 CAM today. Jorge?
All right, great. Thanks, Andy. So in case some of you online here don't know me just yet, I've been with you for a number of years, and I've been both in industry as a designer and of course, working with tools such as Inventor for a long time. And I'm really happy to be here with you guys, showing you some of the newer stuff like in Fusion, and most importantly here, of course, CAM, which is a great addition that we have available now through Fusion. So let's go ahead and get started. So the goal for today, of course, is CAM. I want to show you some of the features that are possible inside of it, some of the benefits of using CAM 360, out of Fusion 360, that is. And then we'll jump straight into a demonstration. Now, I realize the title of this session is, I believe it's talking more about 3-axis, but I'm actually going to go into 2.5-axis. I didn't want to assume that everybody here in this session knew already about the 2.5-axis, and there's some similarities in how it's set up anyways. So I just kind of wanted to make sure we're all on the same page there. And then, of course, we'll do a Q&A in case any of you have some more questions that you'd like to get answered on how to get Fusion 360 CAM working for you. So the features inside of Fusion 360 right now, as far as CAM goes, you have 2.5-axis and 3-axis. You also have some turning capabilities, as well as laser jet, water jet, and plasma. So those are capabilities built right inside of Fusion 360, where you don't have to, go download something separate or anything like that necessarily. We'll also take a look at doing simulation inside of here, and there are post-processing features inside of here as well. Again, these are all things we'll cover briefly in here, mostly 2.5-axis as well as some simulation and post-processing. So when it comes to the benefits of using Fusion 360 CAM, I really like to emphasize that it still gives you the same power that a CNC programmer would need, yet it's easy enough for a designer, a maker, maybe a startup company to start doing this on their own as well. So you don't have to necessarily go to a CNC programmer, but your CNC programmer can use this as well. It gives you all of the features you would still need. And so this gives you the flexibility to use it amongst your team to be able to work on multiple platforms. So this, again, Fusion can be used on Mac, it can be used on PC, it can even be used on iPads and tablets, for example. So you're not limited, you're given much more flexibility to be able to use this. And then also at the same time allow you to collaborate with your team real time. So it is online, you can post to each other the updates that you've been working on, for example, maybe spread out the different parts that need to be made by different people on your team. And then as far as quality goes, this is technology that comes out of HSM Works. For those of you who don't know, Autodesk did purchase HSM Works, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago now, and that same technology is right inside of Fusion 360 as well. So that's great news for those of us trying to do more of this. And finally, let's just go ahead and jump into this demonstration. I want to make sure you're all aware of how you start using CAM instead of Fusion 360, how you can set up your own job and go from there. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So I'm inside of Fusion 360. Just a quick reminder that on the user interface here, in case you haven't seen it yet, on the left-hand side here, we have this dashboard that allows us to see the files that we have available to us. Through here, we can have different projects and different files loaded up. As a matter of fact, when it comes to uploading, just a quick reminder for those of you who haven't seen this yet, you can actually drag and drop files in here or select files to bring in, including SOLIDWORKS files, by the way. So you'll see the list here of all the different files we can bring in, native SOLIDWORKS, native Pro-E, STEP files, native Inventor files as well, of course. So there's a slew of different file types you can bring in that it will recognize for you. As a matter of fact, one quick tip, I did have a SOLIDWORKS assembly that I brought in one time, and just by you choosing the assembly, it knew to pick up the rest of the parts for me. So really, really great stuff here. So, you know, having something like this up here, we'll take a look at this. What we're going to take a look at in this session is this throttle pedal over here on the right-hand side over here that we're going to take a closer look at. So let's go ahead and jump into that. What I've done here, I've also taken the liberty of showing you, let's say you had an actual vise and you want to see what was going to happen here. Look at the parallels that you're going to lay it on, for example. So you can still have it in context of this entire thing so you can see what's going to look like it, a more real life-like effect to it, if you will, to be able to see it a little bit better. So like most software here, we work ourselves from left to right. So up at the top, first, this is where you choose what you want to do inside of Fusion. Are you going to sculpt something? Are you going to model it, render it, animation? And of course, at the bottom here, CAM. So that's the first thing you do. Once you actually bring in your part, you'd select the CAM option right here. Working yourself to the right, then you go ahead and start setting it up. So through here, I can create new folders and new patterns if I want to. But right now, I'm just going to set up a new job from scratch. When we do this, we'll see it wants to automatically pick all the largest part we see on here. So it's up to us to choose exactly which one we want to use, of course. So therefore, I'll come in here and I'll go to my setup and say that I want to pick the model, meaning this one right here. And you see my boundary now changes for that. Now that my boundary has changed here, we want to start giving a little more information. Where is our origin, for example? What's the stock piece we're going to start with? So over here on the right-hand side, we have this window that allows me to select stock and how I want to select the stock. In other words, what size is it going to be? It can be a fixed size, as you'll notice the different options we have inside of here. What's really great about Fusion too, something I liked as I was starting to try and learn this, is there's a lot of nice little pop-ups that explain exactly what's going on. This way you don't have to go into a help menu, right, and figure out exactly what's going on and go back and forth or have a different screen necessarily. You'll get all the information there once you hover over it. So I'm going to choose a relative size box. And this also allows us to create an offset around this. So maybe at the bottom, for example, I want a 10mm offset. But as you notice here, if you took a closer look, it grew in this direction here. So I need to come back to the setup here and select the right model orientation, which will allow me to say, let's select the Z-axis. I'll select this face. You notice it changes now, but now we need the origin. So if I go back down to the origin, I can say I want to do a stock box point. which allows me to select different points on the actual stock size of this. So really quick, just to reiterate, we selected the orientation, so you pick which way is Z, and then we tell it how we want to define the origin, and finally pick the box where we want to put that. Hopefully you'll see it's already pretty easy. It's really intuitive. It all pops up on screen, so you don't have to question exactly what's going on necessarily as you're trying to set this up. We'll select OK to this, and I just want to see it in the context of the vise here, but I'll go ahead and turn on the vise and the parallels for now, and just leave the throttle pedal. So as I mentioned, up here at the top, there's 2-axis and 3-axis, drilling, turning, water jet. We have those options all through here. If I go to 2D, you'll see the different options we have. But if I just go ahead and click on the top here, this will allow me to start doing the facing of this. So the natural progression of this usually is you want to pick a tool first. So there is a tool library that comes with this already. You can always define your own new tools, and you can edit the tools that you see inside of here as well. Right now we're going to do some face milling. I have one already set up here in the tutorial that I can use. Notice the different options we have in here. We have workpiece, the workpiece material, what operation we're making, which will give us different tools depending on the operation, as well as different tool types, again, depending on which operation I'm selecting or if I need to override this at any point. We'll go ahead and select this 50mm diameter one. You notice that the feeds and speeds are all in here already. And I'm not sure, for those of you that are on this session, how familiar you are, if you've already used CAM or not. I know I've used Gibbs CAM before, Master CAM, and Edge CAM, for example. But one thing that you usually want to do is make sure you get the right feeds and speeds, the optimal ones for the tooling that from who you buy them from, right? So these are already in here for us, but of course we can still modify that as needed. So now that I've picked the tool, in this case, really all I have to select is OK, because it knows that it's working with my stock piece. So as I'm talking about this right now, we see that the toolpath automatically comes up, and we can start to see what that looks like. Now let's jump over to the simulate part of this, where I can hit the simulate button, and we can then hit play here to see that. Let me bring the speed down just a little bit in case some of you have a little bit lag over the internet. But what you'll notice here is the tool, it's going through that tool path, of course. I can come over here and display different things. Like if I actually want to see the stock piece, I can actually display it on here. And you can see the cutting that's going on the face of this. I'll speed it up just a little bit more so we can see some of that. All right. So really easy to just kind of get this going, as you see, even do a simulation. I'm going to close out this simulation to show you now the post-processing. So in here I can go ahead and click on post-process, which is going to generate the code that's needed for the CNC programming. I can go ahead and do that in here. You'll notice that there's different configurations, different post-processors. So there's a slew of different ones already that comes with Fusion. I didn't have to go download them or anything like that. But there are cases where they might not have the post-processor you need. Well, the good news about that is Autodesk will give you the post-processor you need. All you have to do is go to cam.autodesk.com to go to their forum and request it, and they'll gladly provide that for you. So again, if you don't see it in here, Autodesk will provide that for you what we've been told. So we'll go ahead and post this here so we can just see a quick example of this. Yep, background. And here we see the code that has been generated, giving us, putting the tool at the origin, and as well as the rest of the processes that need to happen with this, all right inside of here. So this is the file that you would usually, save to a flash drive maybe, if that's what you do to take it to the computer where the machine is at, or post it on a network drive that you might be accessing or something like that. This is what you would need. Let's do a few more a few more tools inside of here so you can get to see a little more about its capabilities and how easy it is. So now that we've done this, we're going to do now what we call adaptive clearing. So what you usually want to do when you're doing your CNC programming is you want to do some rough cuts first. So that's what the adaptive clearing is going to do. By the way, notice again that you do get these nice little pop-ups that show you, give you a little more context about what this tool does, when you might use it, when it's mostly used, so that it'll give you some tips, if you will, on being able to set these things up. So I'll go ahead and set up my adaptive clearing. And again, like last time, let's select the tool first. I'll do that over here. And we'll go down to the bottom where I have these tools. And we're going to use a 16 millimeter flat here. All right. So let's take a look at some of these other tabs that we have available to us. So the geometry tab, of course, is so we can select the geometry we're going to do this to. So I'm going to pick the outer edge of this, for example, and we can see the direction of the tool path is going to take here. So this adaptive clearing is unique. It's some of the latest, greatest technology that what it does, it keeps the cutter engaged with the material as much as possible. That way there's not uneven cuts. You know, machines won't like that. Of course, it could kind of delay the cutting. It can make it look a little bit bad, and it causes a little more work sometimes. So this will give it a consistent tool path. We'll go ahead and click OK on this for now. And let's let it create the tool path for us. There it is. In just a few moments, it went ahead and created the tool path, and now let's go ahead and simulate this so we can see what that looks like again. Hopefully you don't have too much lag over the internet. You can see the tool moving here. Pretty good. Again, remember too, by the way, that I'm doing this actually online on the cloud, right? So even though I have a user interface on my side, it is a quick install, by the way. It is solving this on the cloud. So even if I had a computer that maybe wasn't as powerful as you might think you need, that's okay, because we're using Fusion 360 here. All right, we're going to close this out. Now, just like everything else here, we can still edit these things after the fact. So you'll see over here in my setup, I can right-click on the adaptive clearing and edit it, and maybe change a few things if I needed to. Or maybe I don't, maybe I do, but here is where we can go back and make those changes. Maybe we decide we want to do multiple depths from here. Maybe we want to make sure that it leaves some of the stock still. So that's what the adaptive clearing did for us automatically already. It said, go ahead and leave some stock here so we can go back and do the final pass. So right now it left a 0.5 millimeter stock for me, so I can go back later and clean this up a little bit better. So let's just do that. We'll come over here to our tools and go to 2D contour now instead of the adaptive clearing. We'll select our tool again. Actually, yeah, let's select that. We're going to go with the 10 millimeter now. And we'll go ahead and select our edge again. This time when we go to passes, we won't want to do the stock anymore, so that's okay. It's already off for us. We'll accept this tool path right here, and we'll go ahead and click OK to get that path again, and let's take a quick look at that simulation as well. So see, it's really easy to be able to confirm exactly what you did right here. Look at the path, make sure everything was set up as you expected. All right, let's do a little bit more. Now we're going to do the contour over here on the left. Again, we can use a 2D contour tool. And now these tools here, the adaptive clearing, for example, the contour, the pockets, all of those things are available in the 3D as well, or the 3-axis, I should say. We'll see those right here. So, if you're wondering, well, can we do that in the 3-axis? Yes, we can. You just go to the 3-axis tools instead. I just wanted to make sure I brought that up as well. So we'll go to 2D contour again. We'll pick this edge right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove that 0.5 millimeter, if you remember. So I'm going to use the 10 millimeter. That's still selected right here. Great. And then what we'll do is now we're going to go to the passes tab. So maybe I want to tell it how many passes to make, multiple finishing passes. So I can turn this feature on here, and I can say how many passes and what that step over is right here. So I can just quickly type it in. I can also, by the way, remember I was saying the tool path it's going to take, or the direction. I can select this arrow and change that right on the spot right here. We'll let it create that again. Sure enough, here's our quick path. All right, we'll skip the simulation on this one. I think we've seen plenty of that. Let's get into drilling now. Actually, I think there's some nice little tools inside here that I know I really like. So I'm going to go to my tools here first and make sure I select the right one. I'll go with the 10 millimeter here. Again, notice, by the way, the tool types already come up over here as drill because I'm doing drilling, of course, and the type of operation that I'm creating. So all that comes right inside of here, right, depending on what tool I selected. So I'm going to click the geometry here. Before I do that, there's some options I can do over here. So if I have this circular edge here, maybe I want it to pick up everywhere it has that same diameter. So over on the right-hand side, I have a nice little tool that's going to allow me to select this, and it automatically picks up the other two that are inside of here to create, to go and drill to make that operation. I can still select these other ones. I'm not limited to just the same diameter. I can do multiple ones in the same one, especially if right now all I'm doing is the initial cut into it to kind of start creating the hole for me to dive deeper into. So through here, we can also go to heights, and we'll see the exact heights that are happening here, the clearance, the retract, where it's going to come up, go down, and all that good stuff. So we can control that right from here. So from the top, for example, we can say start at the model top, let's say. And then from the model top, we can give it an actual distance right here, an offset. So I can say go in 2 millimeters, for example, from the model top. That's just one way, of course, but you see here there's a long list of different methods, different options you have to choose from for this drill. All right. And we'll click OK, and there's that one as well. So in this webinar, I wanted to give you an introduction to this, show you how you can set up some of the different capabilities. Some of the other things I wanted to mention here on the 3-axis, for example, is like this parallel option. So after roughing something, you probably want to apply a parallel cut, starting with smaller steps so that you have a smoother transition, a rough cut first. Other tools we have here are like the ramp tool, which is really good for horizontal steep walls. If you have some steep walls, the ramp tool adjusts itself for those types of procedures. So depending on what type of part is when you select these different ones. And again, what's really great about this is you can just try one of these tools and see if it works for it or not, and then go back and edit them, choose a different tool, go back and forth and try those out. Of course, there are tutorials for all this. I'll bring up that website in just a moment. There are ways to get yourself more familiarized with this, right? Lastly, another one I'd like to mention is like this pencil one right here. So pencil would be like the last run you make. It basically goes around and cleans up some of the tool paths. So this is a nice tool to be able to do that. Think about having this part and going over it with a pencil and kind of fine-tuning the entire thing. So these are all capabilities inside of Fusion 360 CAM that you'll find and don't have to go and download or anything like that, for example. There's a lot of other tools. There's a tool library, as I mentioned earlier, that you can get to as well, create different tasks. And we'll probably have some more sessions on these types of things, some advanced features. So by all means, when you guys get the survey at the end, please provide some feedback. We'd like to get to know what else you would like to discover more of inside of Fusion 360 CAM in this case, but of course any other subject would be great as well. Let's see. So in summary, we have the 2.5 axis capability as well as 3 axis. Always keep, I encourage you to keep up to date on the blogs that we've got going on, as well as Autodesk ones. As new capabilities start getting added, you have access to them as well if you have Product Design Suite, for example, subscription. Through here, through the CAM inside of Fusion 360, we can do our setups to be able to do like the facing and adaptive clearing we did. That does all the rough cutting, for example. There's pocketing tools inside of there that we didn't get a chance to go over just yet today. A tooling library that's already included, and a really nice simulation tool where you don't have to worry about the hardware you have because we're running this on the cloud. And then remember that the post-processor, if you don't see it in there, you can get it from Autodesk through their forums. Again, that was cam.autodesk.com to take you there. So now we'd like to open it up to a Q&A.
Thanks. Excuse me. Thanks, Jorge. So at this point, if you have any questions for Jorge, and by the way, I just want to mention quickly that we have a special guest that just jumped on, Cecilene Singh. She is what I call a technical evangelist for Fusion 360. So welcome, Cecilene. And if you have any questions for Jorge or Cecilene at this point, please go ahead and type it into your Q&A panel, and we'll go ahead and address them right now. And while we're waiting for questions, I do want to remind the audience, please fill out a short survey that we have at the end of the webcast. Give us some feedback on what you saw today and what you like, maybe something you didn't like or something we didn't talk about that you wanted to see. And feel free to ask us additional questions there as well. So question for you, Jorge, is you had mentioned briefly that the technology that's in the CAM technology that you see here in Fusion 360, it's the same technology in HSM Works, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So if someone wants access to this and they don't have Fusion 360, how do they get it?
So Fusion 360, if you have Product Design Suite Ultimate on subscription, you will have Fusion 360 access. We have a blog, actually, blog.ketiv.com, where I created one that shows you how to actually add access to your users or yourself and be able to download and install it. It's a really quick and small install, by the way, because it is mostly running on cloud, of course. And then also, you can sign up for Fusion if you are if you're in the makerspace, for example, or in a student. You can sign up for Fusion 360 for free as well.
Excellent. You mentioned the blog. Can you do me a favor and show the audience the all different social media sources and I think you have it on your next slide. The different social media sources and things that you have.
Oh, sure, that too, yeah. So quickly on YouTube, for example, if you just do a search for Autodesk Fusion 360, you'll see the playlist here, and there's some CAM stuff here to get to really quick. So there's some tutorials to get you started if you'd like to. Of course, you can always feel free to contact us as well, and we can get you some more information as needed. Our blog is blog.ketiv.com. And of course, there'll be plenty of other subjects there as well, but you can do a search on here, or if you scroll down towards the middle, you'll see the blogs that I mentioned. But yeah, and just like Andy mentioned as well, if we go to our next slide, here are all the different social medias that we are involved with as well. I mean, I even encourage you to get the Autodesk Fusion on your Facebook as well. I know I get a lot of my updates through there, actually, believe it or not. Just going through Facebook, you're reading it at lunchtime or something like that, and you end up finding out that there might be something new that you might be interested in that could benefit you as well, of course.
All right, and I think we have time for one more question because we're hitting the bottom of the hour. And Jorge, I'm going to assign this to you. There's a question that came in: can Fusion 360 control multi-path in Z for roughing?
Read it one more time to me. I'm sorry. What was the ending part?
Yeah, I assigned it to you as well, so you should be able to see it. It says, can Fusion 360 control multi-path in, I'm guessing, Z direction for roughing. Right now it says I can only cut about 1D. I'm a marketing guy. I don't know what 1D means. 1D deep per pass.
Okay. You know, that's a good question. I'll have to take that offline. If the person doesn't mind, I can contact them after this webinar and have an answer for him.
Okay. Yeah, we're at the bottom of the hour, so I think that's all the questions that we have. So back to you for wrap up, Jorge.
Yeah, so again, recommended next steps, give us a call if you have more questions, you want to know more information about CAM and how it can benefit you. Again, there are plenty of videos from Autodesk Fusion 360's YouTube channel, as well as we're building more content for this as well. And we do have some upcoming sessions, by the way. Don't forget, we have some nice little features in a PDF creation from AutoCAD, for example. There's always Vault sessions as well. And there's going to be a new one that we just added on the new features from R2 Inventor 2016, such as Shape Generator, that I think a lot of people here could find interesting, especially if you are using Fusion already. These are some great additions into Inventor as well. Thank you.
Great. With that, thank you for being on with us today on this session of Ketiv Autodesk Virtual Academy. And hopefully we'll see some of you again next week on Thursday at 10 a.m. Thanks and have a great day.